Hello everyone, I am Mesh and I am Senior Test Automation Architect with 14 plus years of experience in the software test automation. I got approved one patent on the BACnet analytics for healthy building and another in queue that is for multi-channel automation refactor structure. In my current role, I explore new technologies and tools in the market, introduce them to our test processes and bring value to the organization. Also providing technical architecture, defining strategic direction for testing automation practices, and serving as an expert in defining and rolling out a standard automation frameworks. Now, along with that, I worked on the complex architecture, again the scriptless automation, participate in application design reviews, ensuring quality automation practices, worked on the test pyramid, TDD, PTD, and many more on the development lifecycle. As of now, from my social reach, I have helped near about 2200 plus people to learn test automation, and near about 1100 plus people they got an opportunity in the renowned organization. I have done my Bachelor of Engineering in Computers and Master of Administration MBA in IT and International Business. Now, today's session, I am going to explain you how to automate the responsive web app. Now, we all have experienced this at least once, when we are trying to surf website on the mobile to see a particular area of the website. We are zooming in by tapping on the screen like 1,000 of times and it is annoying, and at the same time we lose our interest. As a result, it could be a potential loss to the website business, as the organization has lost a customer by not opting the responsive website for its business. Now, what is the exact meaning of responsive website? Now, responsive website design is the web design approach, and which is aimed to view websites on a different devices and the different resolutions. Now, checking that able to render and adjust the page to provide optimal viewing experience. Now, let's say if if user switches from mobile view to desktop or laptop or iPad or any other view or vice versa. In such cases, website page should render automatically and set best possible screening experience. Now, responsive website is compatible with multiple devices like all browsers, resolutions, screen sizes on the different screen size desktops and devices like smartphone, tablets, etc. It is very important to test a responsive of the website for an excellent user experiences. Now, when a website is developed, main concern of the client is responsive web design. And since it is easier to see and shop from our mobile device than to open our PC and surf, we carry our smartphone everywhere with us, so it is extremely flexible option for us. So no matter what size of the smartphone screen you use, responsive web design should be compatible with all of the varieties. That is why most of the ready-to-use web design or themes come with responsiveness. So developer just needs to write the code for the website and not to worry about the responsiveness. A website design with responsive web design mainly uses with the fluid grid, flexible images, percentage based grids, and media queries with CSS3 style and HTML5 too. Now, responsive web design are implemented in the different coding languages like PHP, .NET, then Java, and many new technology which supports the responsive web design. Let's move to the web application. Now, let's say you can see this google.com on my screen. Now, there is a very important and very common question people may ask you in interview. What is the difference between responsive and the adaptive design? The responsive sites and the adaptive sites are the sites which changes the appearance of the based on the browser width. So if you can see, this is the browser width, and the main difference is responsive website changes the appearance after changes in the width of browser at every point. For example, if the browser width is 124 pixel wide and width changes below or above 124 pixel, then layout will be respond accordingly. That is called responsive sites adjust the layout fluidly, not considering on which device is being used. Okay, so now we can I'll just show you one thing, that is, let's press here F12. If you can press here F12, you can see different browsers and the different sizes here. Okay, so I can go back here and I said I wanted to see the responsive. So this is what my responsive, where I can see the multiple devices are opening here, and there are multiple devices are available. Okay, now when I talked about adaptive side, the adaptive side that changes the appearance after changes in width again, but again width of browser beyond the specific defined points. Let's say I defined a box control with 500 pixels. So if that width of the browser is more than 800 pixel, and if width go below 800 pixel, then box should be reduced to this 300 pixel size. So adaptive design is mainly used when the page need to serve a different on the different browsers or the devices. Now, what are the challenges that comes to check this responsive website? So nowadays, many people are using mobiles or tablets to test websites. Accessing website over the mobile device is quite cumbersome, and if those are not web design, it is not a responsive. Now, one of the most challenging part of responsive website testing is the test the websites on all the browsers, resolutions and screen sizes and operating systems. So however, it is not realistic to test so website with all above combination. So by and large, almost every tester start testing the responsiveness of the website by resizing the browser to check the breakpoint, sizing of tablet, mobile, desktop with the different resolution and window to fit the viewpoint. Okay, so if I wanted to check my Google site on Nexus, then I can check. If I wanted to check on iPhone X, then I can check on iPhone X. I can change the port and the width and the size of all this. It's 100% possible. If I wanted to check on the Surface Duo, then I can check on the Surface Duo. All things are possible over here. Okay, so this is how now I wanted to do the automation, because though it is difficult to check and there are the challenges to test the responsive website, now how to automate such a pages that those are available in the responsive website. Now most of the people ask the question, is it possible using Selenium? And we are not able to answer that in interview. So let me explain that step by step. Bear some time with me. I will explain multiple ways to do or automate your responsive website using Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so let me open one of my Eclipse. Now I am going to open where I can have always my Selenium. Okay, so I have all the Selenium libraries here. So I'm going to create a new class. So I'll not take more time to do this, otherwise it is a bit longer to mention and write the code. So what I'll do, I'll write a responsive basic, for example. Okay, and I said finish. Let's say I have the responsive basic. Now I can write my first test. I can directly write my test and I can say I want a test in J notation. I said public void. I can give the name to validate responsive. Okay, not more in detail. Okay, now let's say this is my test. So how do I start? I can always write my system.asset property. Oops, system.asset property, and I wanted to set a property value, key and value. So always my key is WebDriver Chrome.driver, and my value is, let me copy somewhere from any of the, if I do have on any of the class, I'll simply copy that. Okay, yes, let me copy this. So I can simply copy this. I can go back here. I can copy the same value over here. Let me enter the value. Okay, so I do have set up the property Now what next? That I need to start my Chrome. Before that, now I'll show you there is one basic implementation that is required for map. Okay, so I need the basic implementation, that is I need both the string, that is my key, and value pair, and I wanted to give device mobile, I can say emulation, for example. Okay, and I say the new let's implement the hash map here. Okay, I'll take this hash map and all this implementation that in my different the session. As of now, I'm simply implementing this hash map. Okay, I said yes, I need the hash map, and I said here null. So let's say this is my hash map is implemented as of now. Okay, now I wanted to add something into this hash map. What are the things that I need? I need to put some string value. So I said device name, for example, and what name we can take. Let's say I'm taking here a Nexus 5. I'm taking the name here Nexus 5. Okay, this is one of my first device which I wanted to launch using the responsive web application. So this is my first Nexus 5. Now I can launch my WebDriver equals a new Chrome driver, and I wanted to set some the value to this, some options, because I need to pass this value. So before that we need to do a Chrome options. So Chrome options, that means if I wanted to set some Chrome values, I can use this Chrome options, that is a Chrome option equals a new Chrome options. Okay, and now what Chrome options I wanted to set? I said I wanted to set this Chrome options dot. I wanted to set some experimental option. I wanted to set some experimental options. I said, what experiment you wanted to do? I wanted to do my mobile emulation. I wanted to do my mobile emulation. And what is the value that you wanted to pass? So I said I wanted to pass the value which is already held by my map or hash map. I can simply set that. And now this Chrome options will be an input to my constructor of Chrome driver. Okay, and now I can simply write here driver dot get, and what is the URL? So I can take https www.google.co.in. Okay, so as of now I have just finished my code, and let's try to execute, and it should open your google.co.in in a particular the browser, that is nothing but which we mentioned here, that is a Nexus 5. So now let's execute this code base. I simply right click here. Not an issue. I simply right click and I say run as my test engine test. So once I open and execute this, it should open in the Nexus 5. So it should open Google in the Nexus 5. See, it is started and it's changed the layout now. If you can see my application, that google.co.in is open in the Nexus 5 wave. So this is how we just tested one application in the one port. That means one port size as well as one emulation. Now I have a next requirement. How many of those are available? Let's close this. So let me go back here and I can see I can have the multiple devices here. Now if you wanted to add more devices, you can go to the edit and you can add the more devices from here. Okay, if you wanted to remove any of the devices, you can simply uncheck those and you can remove the devices. But let's take an example. I wanted to automate out of those some of the devices from here. Now what I need to do to perform that? So I already have the map now, but better I can do using my data provider. Okay, so that it will be very easy to understand now. Okay, so let me show you the implementation along with the data provider. So let me go back here. I'll not waste more time. I'll simply write here a data provider. Okay, and then I said, what is my data provider? I said a public, it will return always object array, and I said a mobile emulations. Okay, I said mobile emulations, and now if I do have that mobile emulations, I said return my new object array. Okay, I said my object array, and then I said what object array you wanted to return. So I said every step I do have some devices. Okay, so every step I do have some devices. So I can just implement 4 devices as of now. I wanted to see all those 4 should work. So let me take first, that is my iPad and Pro probably. Then I will take another, that is my Nexus 5, which I have just now taken. Okay, I can say Nexus 5. Then I can say iPhone X. We check that too. iPhone X. Then we can say the Pixel 2. Let's take one example of Pixel also. So I can say Pixel 2. So I have added all those devices here. Now what next I wanted to do? I can simply say here the close and done. Okay, so as of now I have added my data provider. Now this data provider needs to provide to my test. How do I provide that data provider? So I can simply say is I wanted to write my data provider and the value or the name of that data provider. So I'll simply take the name of the function. If there is no name to the data provider, and that is done, I can take here one input parameter, emulation. Okay, I can always take one parameter, that is emulation, and this emulation I am going to set at the device name always. Done. Okay, so I wanted to see now the same test should open on the multiple. I want to see the same test should open on the multiple browsers now. Right click and I am going to run. It should open the same google.co.in on the 4 different browsers. I'm not yet closing this browser so that we can verify it opens on the 4 times. So let's see, it's open in the iPad Pro first. Okay, this is done. Then the Nexus. The second one is Nexus. Yes. The third one is your iPhone X. It should open in the iPhone X. Yes. And then it should open on the Pixel 2. So if you can see on the down, there are 4 different browsers opens and 4 different browsers and the 4 different screen size. So if you can see, very basic way we have implemented this test. I'm closing for all these 4 browsers. If you can see on the results, I have executed 4 tests, and if you wanted to see, I am executed on iPad Pro, Nexus, iPhone X and Pixel 2. All those 4 test cases are pass. This is how I just validated some of my tests using the iPad Pro. Now I wanted to check all those tests with the different sizes. So just give me a second. I can write my code to validate the different size of this browser, so that I can just pass those size to all my test. Okay, so now I can just keep as it is on this data provider. I'll just add some of the input parameters to this data provider. Let's say I am adding my height and width to every different viewport. So I added 360 to 640. Let's try that. Okay, for Nexus. These are all the height and width of these browsers or the devices that we wanted to open. iPhone X I am going to open in 375, and I can see there 812 most of the time, so I select that. On the Pixel I'm going to check that 411 and let's say 731. Okay, all those are pixel sizes that I'm going to check now. The same way, if you have one, then you need to pass that multiple input parameters to also your method. Let's say I'm saying int height and I'm saying int width. I'm not wasting more time to go more in detail about this. Now, if I have done this, till this, I wanted to set the size of my browser. How do I set the size of my browser? So there is a class. So if you can see, there is a class dimension. There is a class dimension always, which needs the input parameter, that is your width and that is your height. So you have added both the parameters, that is width and height. Once that is done, then before opening to your browser, you will simply say your driver dot manage dot window, and you can simply say dot set size. And what set size? I want to set the size, that is I am going to pass it here. So everything is dynamic at this stage. You are passing everything from your data provider. So you have already set your dimensions to every or individual browsers or individual responsive site on emulation. You are setting your height and width for every single emulation, and you are just opening your browser in the defined dimension. This is what you are perfectly mentioned, or the browsers with the dimension. Let's execute this code now. So I'm going to run this test. Again, this test should start with the first, that is iPad Pro, and it should open in the iPad Pro. This is my first browser launch. Okay, so see what the size we said, it mentioned that in the size. I purposefully mentioned a smaller size for iPad Pro so that we can see. Then if you want, I can see this is the size for your Nexus. Then the same way you can set the size for the different browsers like iPhone X, and then you can set the size that is for your mention, and that is your last one. Okay, perfect, done. So all the four browsers are open in the different browser size. So I did one mistake, that is I mentioned here height and width, and here width and height. So I simply changed this. So that we can see in the proper mobile dimensions. Okay, so this one is width and this one is my height. Okay, so now that will be a perfect mobile size now. As of now, we just executed three options. Now, very important. And the important area now is we wanted to run the code with our HTML report, graphical report, and we wanted to see all those screenshots attached to your browsers. So it is difficult for me to write all those code in front of you. I'll just write some code and then I'll show you how do we integrate all these operations, your responsive web design, along with your extent report. Okay, so now I already have my extent report set up here. So to save your time, I have added one class where I have added my whole implementation. What I did in this implementation is I have to start my extent test and add my reporter. Here in the before suite, I simply start with the report, and I said I wanted to store at this location in the graphical results. Then in the before method, before every test, I wanted to start with the name of that method, and I can add that. I have the same code of the data provider where I can execute the test on the multiple different browser emulation size. I have the same test with emulation height and width. Only change this time is I simply add a screenshot. I simply add the screenshot of that test execution into the emulation. So that means whenever I execute my test, even it's pass, even it fails, whenever it opens the Google, it will just take the screenshot and save at a specific location. And then it will close that browser. And after method, it will just end the test and flush the test. And this is what my screenshot capture test. So let me execute this test and I can see how it works. So I can simply run this test. So it should open in the different browser suite. Okay, just a second. So let's run the code. So it should open first iPad Pro, then Nexus, then your iPhone X and Pixel 2 and the multiple browsers too. So let it open and it set the size which we have just now set. So it opens, it will take the screenshot. Then the second browser with the second emulation, it will take the screenshot and it will close. Yes. Then the third, it will open the browser, open the googleco.in, and then take the screenshot to make it evidence that I have executed on the different emulation, and then it will close. So as of now we have finished 3. Now it opens the Galaxy S5. So Galaxy S5 and again take the screenshot and it says my test is done with the specific emulation, and the last one is my Pixel 2. Once it is done, it will generate the HTML report, the graphical HTML report, which we wanted to see at a particular location, and then we can simply forward that report to any one of your test lead or the manager or someone who wanted to see the report or as an evidence. If you can see, I executed on the 5 different responsive browsers: Nexus, iPhone, Galaxy and Pixel. Let's go back at the location. What was the location? The location is BDD implementation and the graphical results I already opened. If you can see on the BDD implementation, I can see this graphical results. Let's open that. Once you open that results, it is showing you have executed, and if I can click on this, I wanted to see all this HTML with the your assign, particularly a screenshot to this reporting. I wanted to see the screenshot attached to each one of these test case. Okay, so let it be. It is a bit slower right now. Let's click. I don't know why it's not opening. Just a second. So you can see surely assigned a screenshot of each and every different emulation along with your extent report test. This is how you can just add your test along with its screenshot, that it is making it very evidence that I have added my the screenshot of my each and every responsive or emulation to my report or my graphical report. Now the question comes, what are the major test cases for responsive web testing are happening? So there are some of the important test cases which I identified, like verify all the images on the web pages, to verify your text and headings, to verify all clickable links are there, then verify scrolling, then you can verify the input boxes and the text area, then its size, font size and font type. You can verify the content of the page and the color changes and the color combinations also. You can verify images, text, different controls over the different emulators or different responsive browsers, and you can change and rotate your device, and you can validate the padding of elements and the enter text and then see how it behaves. As of now, all these are very important to finish your test automation in the responsive browsers. Meanwhile, if you like this video, just press the like on the video itself, and you have any comments or questions, please put your comments or question on the video itself so that I can try to answer those as soon as possible. You can follow me on the LinkedIn by searching automated script on the LinkedIn, or you can just hit on this link and you can just follow me. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a good day now.